My name is Vanessa, and I'm growing a cut flower farm in Edgewood, Washington, Zone 8B. In 2017, I started growing cut flowers in my grandfather's garden to aid him in a romantic endeavor. And now, with the help of my partner, we're building a business and a community around the local flower movement in our little corner of the Pacific Northwest. Welcome to Pops. There's a lot of things going right in the veg garden and a few things that are going wrong. I will say though that I think the lettuce looks stunning. This bed used to have a border of kale around it. It looked very cute, but the kale has since bolted and therefore got ripped out. Over here we have a small bed of peppers. Now these I did not start from seed. I do a mix of things from seed and not from seed in my garden. These are not from seed. These are from our local nursery. We've got banana peppers, Anaheims, jalapeno, serrano, and just some green peppers down there. Now these guys look a little bit sad. They are not super happy, but I think it's because they're in a bit of a shady spot. This tree here leafed out and created way more shade than I had anticipated. So we'll see how those guys do. I'm just gonna probably go a little heavy on the foliar feed and see if I can get them looking really good soon. These next two beds have my favorite and my partner's favorite thing. He absolutely loves garlic, which is looking good, and I adore the sugar snap peas. Not only are they totally cute, they taste delicious too. Last year, I only planted 4 plants of these, and I never even got to take any inside because they were the perfect garden snack, and I ate them all right here in the garden, which is totally fine by me because the whole purpose for the garden is to eat more healthy, delicious foods. Down here on the end, I have some tomatoes. I have Juliet that I'm trying because of the folks over at You Can't Eat the Grass. I've been convinced to give it a try. And then my absolute favorite cherry tomato, which is the Sun Gold. We've got a marigold border, which is an aesthetic thing that I've done for a really long time. And then inside, we've got onions. This bed here is a no-dig bed that I started this year. It's actually pretty good size. It doesn't look it on the video, but it's way bigger than those little 3.5 by 4 foot raised beds that we have over there. Anyways, I put corn in here thinking great spot for corn. It's done really awful. I think maybe I didn't let the bed sit long enough before I planted it, so the roots of the corn just can't get through that cardboard barrier that's under there that you use in the lasagna method. Really not sure. Maybe they got too cold. Hard to say. But this is something new to me this year. These are potatoes. I tried growing them last year, just a little chunk in the field. They did awful. This year, I thought, okay, let's put them in smart pots because I've never had something grow poorly in a smart pot. So these are genuine smart pots. Really big size. I think it's like 15 gallons, something like that. I'll put a link in the description. It's in my Amazon history. So anyways, they look pretty good. The potatoes that I planted are actually way down here. That's where I put my seed potatoes. So they had to go all this way to find the light, which means this whole thing should be full of potatoes. Pretty exciting. This side of the garden mirrors the other side of the garden up until a point, and I'll show you where that is. So in this sad grass bordered bed, trying to grow some cucumbers. I'm not sure if they really like this spot. They look a little sad, but we did just have 2 really hot days followed by a ton of rain, so I think they look sad from the hot, but the newest growth is nice and green, and I think we have the cooler temperatures and the rain to thank for that. So hopefully they'll come up over. I do have kind of a a signature what the heck thing that I do. I plant something and then I think it's not going to grow, so then I repurpose the space. So these are carrots in my cucumber bed, you know, and a stray pea. Does anyone else do that? Here we have an identical bed to the corn bed. These were just made. The compost is probably a good 5 to 6 inches deep, even though it doesn't look it. Our grass is out of control. We have a broken lawnmower. Long story. In this one, I went ahead and put brassicas. So we have some cabbages that aren't doing much because they're not getting much sun, I think, or they have the same affliction as the corn, whatever that may be. Some broccoli that didn't broccoli. Again, we've had a really weird spring. We've gotten a lot of really warm weather, which I was not counting on. Normally, our springs here are really, really mild in the Pacific Northwest. Zucchini, also looking a bit sad. I think another shade victim, perhaps. So that leaves 2 beds. This guy right here who has some elephant garlic and our little rosemary tree, some miscellaneous herbs. All of them were cool herbs, so a lot of them have been ripped out, and we will get them replaced with some basil and some hot herbs really soon. This bed over here is just for scraps and leftover things. Some stuff has bolted. It'll definitely get cleaned out and repurposed for summer for maximum production soon. Field A is starting to look really, really good. We have done so much work out here since I've shared with you guys last. We have moved probably 20 yards of compost. We have spread 25 yards of wood chips. Ran 1,000 feet of irrigation. I went ahead and installed these 4 short little beds to be our dahlia trial garden, which I'm really excited. So every year I'm just going to pop in 16 new trial varieties. This one right here is Diva, and I'll take you through the rest. Holly Hill Black Beauty, which I have grown before and absolutely love, but lost the genetics because of some storage issues, some overwintering issues. So I'm excited to have that one back up in the lineup. Over here we have Rockstar and Giggles, Rebecca Lynn, Platinum Blonde. The sun's coming out now, so the lighting might get a little wonky, but this one is I'm a Hottie. She's a bright pink cactus that I have grown once before, and I, again, am so excited to have this one back in my lineup. Over here on this end, we have Blue Bayou. This one is Innocence, and then on the end here, we have Daddy's Girl. Over here in the last bed, and we still had to bring the wood chips in here for the header. Last year, we just let the header lay in the grass, and that was the worst mistake of my life. But over here, we have Peach Fuzz. Really excited. It reminds me a little bit of Touche, but it's got more of a cactus shape. And the last one is Boogie Nights. And again, we'll get this all cleaned up. And the last 2 are actually from Twig and Vine. This one is Sierra Glow, and that one is Terracotta. Back over here on this long run, this is all ornamental pumpkins, which I'm really excited to have this year. I grew a few as an experiment last year, and they were a total hit. So we just do specialty pumpkins. I've got Casperita and Jarradale, or however you say that one, the kind of funky green one, and Long Island cheese, and a few other ones like that. And in the middle of my pumpkin patch, I have volunteer sunflowers. These are red. I'm pretty sure I can just tell by like the variegation on them. So this is an example of Mother Nature doing my job better than I do. And it just makes me smile and makes me laugh and reminds me that I'm going to direct seed some sunnies way, way earlier next year. One bed over from Dahlia Trial Garden Land and Pumpkin Land, I have a row that's just dedicated to miscellaneous perennials. Basically, when we moved here, I didn't have any established flower beds, so I had to put the perennials that I had somewhere. Got some random echinacea that's not ready to flower and is blending in with the grass. Eryngium, this is the white glitter Doesn't look great. That might not be a good spot for it. I've got a couple of daisies and some yarrow, little lavender plants, like really little. And this is hot poker. It was a gift from a friend. I've got 2 of them and I absolutely love them. The time that they bloom is just perfect for mixing like with bachelor buttons and bupleurum, and you just get this like really funky, awesome tropical look. It's so cool. This is a mum that I had. These are peonies from Grandpa's garden. They are several years old. I did just move them this year. I don't think I'm going to get cuts off of them this year. Actually, I know I'm not going to. My mom had them for quite a while before I got them, and they never bloomed for her, and they look a little sus. Kind of at the bottom, there's some spots that look a little sus, like that. So yeah, not sure what's going on there. There's an airplane starry. As we go down this row, we have mums. We got these as cuttings from Clara Joyce Flowers, but I'm going to leave them here as a perennial cut, which I'm really excited about. Really need some perennials in my life, y'all. And then I've got some eucalyptus that's going in down here. Yes, they're tiny. These ones were overwintered outdoors successfully with no cover, so they're like the OGs. Very happy to have these boys. This next bed is where I did some trialing of cold hardy annuals. If you don't follow Lisa Mason Ziegler or you've never read her book, Cool Flowers, you definitely need to. I'm not proud of this row. It's not beautiful. This is some larkspur that was direct seeded in the very early spring. This is nigella that's really close to blooming. I've got a blank spot that I've already ripped out of nigella that didn't do well. And then at the end I have more nigella that's very short, and I think I'm just gonna pull it. You gotta know when to pull your crops. And honestly, I actually went back through and reseeded all of the blank spots in this row with zinnias, so that should be germinating soon. This row is also what I'm calling one of my sad rows. I had some really sad starts that I put in here. Sometimes sad starts do great, sometimes they don't. You never know. So on the end we've got some amaranth that I thought wasn't doing great. It's the emerald tassels. Love that one so much. And turns out it's totally gonna make it. We've got some cosmos down there that are gonna make it, and then along here we had zinnias that are not gonna make it, so I went through and reseeded. Those should be germinating soon. Here's an example of the amaranth. This is emerald tassels, and it's about ready for a pinch. And now we're getting to the good stuff. The next couple rows are dahlia rows. One thing I did this year that I'm absolutely loving are the dahlia signs. I'm just so notoriously bad with labeling, and this is gonna make it so much better. Pretty much all of our dahlias are looking exceptional this year. I'm just blown away at how healthy our plants are. I know it's still early, but it's a really good start. Some of them are even about ready to pinch. In this first row nearest me, we have all of the reds. So we've got Cornell, just regular Cornell, and Intrigue. Those are my 2 favorite reds. And then Black Satin down at the end. On the other side of this bed, I have Chilson's Pride, as you can see, about halfway down. And then we've got some Marn and some Pixie. This bed here is what we are fondly calling the money bed. It's got all of our best varieties. Cafe au lait, Castle Drive. We've also got a ton of Blizzard and Peaches and Cream. And then I ended up the row with Boom Boom, which is not my favorite white. If you're gonna get a white, just invest in Blizzard. It's honestly like the best. This is one of the Peaches and Cream cuttings that Drew and Billy at Clara Joyce Flowers sent me because they're kind of mentors and friends, and they're just all around super amazing. If you look down here, you can see they got sad. Like, they got really sad, and this was nothing on Drew or Clara Joyce at all. This was totally just me, like, being stressed early in the season and not taking the best care of everything that I had, like letting some things fall through the cracks. But as you can see, we have nursed them back to health. Now they look pretty good. Taking a break from dahlias, right over here in these next 2 rows, I have some cold hardy things that I was trialing for the first time. Well, most things. This cress, for instance, it's Persian cress. I've grown this before. It is technically a weed. Do not let it go to seed in your garden. You will absolutely regret it unless it's like a far off corner. But I love it as a filler. It's just really, really beautiful. The other lovely thing I'm growing for the first time this year is bachelor buttons. Well, the first time seriously growing them. Now, I haven't harvested these in 2 days, so there's a lot of them. They're probably pollinated. But like I said, they're really a trial, but they look lovely. They absolutely are a pain to harvest, as you can imagine, as is commonly said, but I love, if we can get the camera to focus, there we go. I love how the sides look like little flowers. So cute, and the color is just unstoppable. I really want to try them in the pink. I will just say succession planting, again, is such an amazing thing. I don't know if you can tell, but these plants are pretty picked over. These are volunteers that I got off of like 1 or 2 plants last year. Like seriously, Mother Nature planted these. And then I just put them in neat rows in my beds. And then these, of course, are ones that I started from seed. And again, of course, I did it later than Mother Nature. So ultimately, I'm getting 2 successions. And when these plants are about done, you can see it's really, really sparse. I will say I do cut a long stem length on bachelor buttons. But now I've got all these just coming into their prime. And the best ones are down here. I don't know what it is, you guys, about dark, sort of black flowers, but I absolutely love them. And I know these are just bachelor buttons. They're not that exciting, but come on, black flowers are just the best. On the end here, I tossed in some double click cosmos. These are the white ones. These guys will all get pinched soon. And of course, they'll continue to get regular foliar feed. They've grown a lot just this week. We had fertilizing on Monday, hot record temperatures on Tuesday, Wednesday, followed by cool and rainy for the last 3 days. So everything in the garden is just looking so lush. I've got 2 rows left. On this end, on this row, I have more dahlias. Again, they look super healthy, the ones that came up. We do have a couple blank spaces that I'll come back in and fill with something later. On this bed, we have our dahlias planted pretty close to the edge of the growing row, really close to the pathways. And we did that so we can get maximum space in between our rows. This way, the dahlias are getting good airflow all the way around the plant, not just on the side that faces the walkway. And of course, that's going to help keep down any diseases that come from lack of airflow. And those varieties you just looked at are a la mode, which is an old favorite of mine. If you cannot afford peaches and cream, or you don't have a guardian angel like Drew to send you cuttings, a la mode is a really good option. And of course, there is Bride to Be. She is not my favorite white. Again, if you're looking to invest in a good white, Blizzard is the white. I'm telling you. At the back end of this row, past the dahlias, is a little bit more of my cold hardy annual experimenting, the trial garden. So these plants down here, I'm almost positive are yarrow. For the longest time, I thought they were going to be my apricot status, but I remember now, those all died. This funky boy growing in the middle of the yarrow is saponaria. It's a cool season filler. It reminds me a little bit of Orlea, but it's more open. These are getting ready to pop, so I will be able to show you really soon what the flowers look like. Probably the cold hardy annual flower that I have been most impressed by, or surprised by, pleasantly surprised by, however you want to put it, is Bupleurum. You guys, I've worked with this before in the flower studio, but man, it was so easy to grow. I mean, honestly, nature just did it. It holds up pretty well, and it's just so visually interesting. This last row of dahlias looks really healthy. They were the first ones that went in this year, and the bed is getting eaten by grass. Grass is my biggest nemesis. But the plants look amazing. We're getting ready to wood chip that side, so it's no big deal. And this entire row, 100 plants, is all Cornell bronze. So that's field A as of right now, June 7th. This is field B. She clearly needs a lot of work, like the grass. Oh my goodness, the grass. Field B, as you may know if you've been watching our channel for a little while, is dedicated to sunflower production. Just like Lisa Mason Ziegler, we start hundreds of sunflowers every single week, which is why I needed an entire 50-foot by 50-foot field for them. It really doesn't look like much right now, but this is going to be a hugely profitable piece of land for us. And it's gonna look really beautiful as the season progresses. As you go up the hill, we actually have one more silage tarp laid out. You can just make it out there through the head-high grass, practically. That field is not prepped for anything. The tarp is laying there to burn out the grass all summer long, and then we are gonna plant it up this fall. That's going to be our official, forever, cold hardy annual mini field. And in case you're curious, we're gonna end up doing tulips in crates over here in field B. Not the whole thing, because we're not made of money. It will remain sunflower production, and then we will be all dahlias and our summer annuals in field A, and perennials, you're probably wondering. We're gonna start going in back there. So that's it for now. That is the vegetable garden and the flower fields at the beginning of June 2021. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to hit like and subscribe. And we will see you next time.